Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this August 4th, 2025 meeting of the Akron Public Schools Instructional Policy Meeting. My name is Diana Autry. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to acknowledge members, Vice President Alexander, and members Dr. Molnar, Superintendent Outley, and Mrs. Ebright. Thank you for joining us this evening. I do not believe we have anyone that needs to address the board at this time, so we're going to jump right into our agenda, starting off with our minutes, item 1.01. Are there any additions or corrections to our previous meeting minutes? Seeing none, we will accept them as presented to us. Thank you very much. Next, we're going to move on to item 2.0, discussion topics. Marcy Wright.
Thank you very much. We are presenting tonight with Mr. Larry Johnson about the Ron Clark Academy presentation. So if you would like to introduce him, that would be great.
Thank you. Mr. Larry Johnson is here tonight to share with us the Ron Clark experience, in which 120 APS teachers were invited to attend. And we are interested to hear about what it was, why they went, and implications for our next steps. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Good evening. I'm going to move through this quickly. Mrs. Ebright said I had 3.5 minutes, and so we're going to get through this so that you can talk to the important people. We are going to talk a lot about our experience at the Ron Clark Academy, as well as share, and most importantly, share some implications instructionally and what it could mean for us from a differentiated professional development opportunity, as well as some expectations that we have from our superintendent. But first, it's important that we share a big thank you and a shout out to our partners who made this possible, leading off with Huntington, and I'll share a little bit about the story moving forward, but on the original trip, Huntington led the way. They've done this Ignite the Classroom in many other large urbans. Cleveland was part of it. Detroit was part of it. And so all of these other partners that are shown here were partners at the first trip, and they helped bring this to fruition. So I'd like to thank all of our partners that were participating in LeBron James Family Foundation, Gar Foundation, Huntington Bank, United Way, Goodyear, and Burton D. Morgan. And goodness gracious, if I forgot someone, I hope that they're not one of those people. On the first trip in January, nothing happens without a good collaborative experience with Dr. Carla Chapman. We were preparing for an after-school event, and Dr. Chapman was on the phone with Mr. Padoff with Huntington, and she said, "Hold on one second. Larry, do you want to go to Ron Clark Academy? I'm not going to be able to make it. I need to send somebody else." So I said yes, got the approval from the superintendent, and on the trip, these were the representatives that went. And so we weren't really clear about exactly how we were going to tailor this for Akron Public Schools until we actually got to the Ron Clark Academy and started to ask ourselves some questions. And these were the questions that we kind of wrestled with on our way back. How can we better support our teachers and our students in Akron Public Schools? Huntington was really clear about how do we show our appreciation for our teachers and this community while also making sure that we can carry some of these best practices from Atlanta to Akron, and how do we ensure that these practices are scaled? So it's not about how do we just go there, see this, and have one teacher come back and do it, but it was how do we go see this and then make sure that everybody benefits from these experiences. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how we did that. On the 14th, we did our reception, Ignite the Classroom. Mrs. Autry, I believe you were there. It was a really fun night. The goal for that was to inspire them, to thank our educators for all of their hard work, to appreciate them, and to first and most importantly, to ensure that we could improve their practice. And leaving that experience, that picture right to the right, typifies it. That principal left, and she was so excited. Her and 4 teachers were selected in the lottery to participate. And so I want to talk a little bit about how we identified those teachers. So the goal was to identify 100 teachers to participate in this, but we had to identify who they were going to be. So on the plane ride back, we talked about how do we identify these distinguished teachers, and this kind of fleshed out this quote-unquote distinguished educators program. And so we identified 3 categories and a +1. How do our teachers perform with student performance, or how do our students perform in this teacher's classroom on student performance? What's the teacher's evaluation, and what is the teacher attendance? Those 3 things created an overall score, and then we took principal recommendations. That list gave us about a little over 400 teachers. From there, those teachers were invited to Ignite the Classroom, and then from there, we did a lottery, and we ended up with 120 teachers to attend the Ron Clark Academy. And so now I'm going to have Principal Haynes come up and just share raw reflections of his experience in the Ron Clark Academy. If you've not been to the Ron Clark Academy, it is Disneyland for educators. It is extremely stimulating, from the music to the students to the spaces, the color, just everything, the energy, everything about Ron Clark makes you stop and look to make sure, can we do this? Is this duplicatable? Oh, we do this. Where do we see ourselves in this? Mrs. Outley was there. She was probably the belle of the ball. There was a standing ovation, because as a superintendent, to take time out of your superintendency to come and accompany 120 of your teachers on this kind of a trip meant the world to those educators. That's not part of the slide, but it was extremely impactful. And so, Chris, come on up. So this is from Grace Tomey. Am I saying that right? Tome? Grace, I apologize. This is from Grace Tome. She said, "What an amazing experience. We were not only able to see the Ron Clark Academy's 8 years of transformation, but 18 years of an exceptional use of pedagogy, active learning, real-world connections, critical thinking, where a teacher is a true facilitator." And we also saw, really, and these are some of her reflections, professionals showcasing their best practices. Grace said, I talked to her on the phone today, she wanted to be here, but she could not. Grace said this was such an inspirational experience. She came back, built out a 2-year plan. She's wrote a 7-block. She's recruited teachers to participate in this, and I'm going to talk about what some of those things are going to be up with next. But I'm going to give Chris an opportunity to share.
All right, thank you. So first of all, my name is Christopher Haynes, servant leader at Academy Principal at the John R. Buchtel CLC this year. So experiencing the Ron Clark Academy experience was like tenfold. I was able to look at that from an instructional lens perspective, but also how can the teachers benefit from it from elementary on up through high school. And based on the conversations that I had with multiple teachers at different sectors, they shared with me the experience of how they will incorporate that into their classroom. This was more of a professional development, but also an opportunity to get parents involved. They talked more about social emotional learning and about how to have high academic rigor, and saw examples. So every session was almost a breakout session, and the educator was able, and myself was able to see how did this happen. So after we were at lessons modeled for us, there were also breakout sessions for there were being questions and answers to see how can we make it applicable to our daily lives. Now, when I add some of the teachers that I attended, that attended together with me was at my previous school, and they had already, their brains were going a mile a minute talking about how they can incorporate some of the houses and the housing structure, how to bring the unity in the school. So we don't have enough time to talk about those aspects, but it is something that was powerful for me because I attended that Ron Clark Academy about 10 years ago, and it actually made me decide to go back into the classroom. Well, another person had another idea, so I didn't go back in the classroom, but it really inspired me to do it, take it to the next level. So it was a wonderful experience with Huntington Bank. The teachers took a lot from it. I took a lot from it, and so I hope that you continue to look at the experience, and you will see the connection later on down. I know it'll happen, so thank you.
So So some implications for our work. I don't know if you are aware, but we do this thing called Akron in Action, where we invite people from across the country. I know you know, I just felt like I had to say it because. So we're doing another one in November. This was Akron in Action on a smaller but grander scale. Akron Public Schools shares our work across the country. This was that. We learned and we saw some things that we think could be part of the next iteration for Akron in Action. There's an opportunity for some differentiated professional development. And that's going to lean into the next part, which is teachers helping teachers, training teachers to help teachers provide professional development for teachers. When we're able to do that, we're able to differentiate and offer more sessions of professional development for teachers during Instructional Improvement Day. Major, major, major implication. And then one of the things that we saw, which was kind of pulled through from explicit instruction, was opportunities to respond and vocabulary acquisition. I think seeing the work in Ron Clark's Academy and hearing the training from explicit instruction really helped solidify this universal instructional strategy approach, where we can pull across the district some universal instructional strategies, provide professional development and training so that the teachers can't get it wrong. And then next is going to be another opportunity to visit the Ron Clark Academy multiple times. I think there's 3 more times that we're planning on taking a cohort of teachers to Ron Clark. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I really appreciate the presentation, and I'm so happy that our educators were able to experience this, because excited teachers means exciting classrooms. So I really appreciate that. That's my comment. Did anyone have any other questions? Mr. Alexander?
Yes, I don't normally speak about a lot of things in board meetings, but this is, to me, exciting, because this morning I spoke to a teacher. It wasn't planned. I just walked into them and we started talking, and they were talking about engagement and excitement in the classroom. It was at Schumacher. And I got excited, because that's what excites me. What is going to get our students excited so they will want to come to school and be excited about learning? And I think things like this will be what we can do to get them, because we're getting the teachers excited about something. Now we're going to get our students excited. Now they're going to want to come to school, and what they're going to do, be excited about learning. That's how we get our grades up. That's how things work. So I'm glad to see that we are looking outside too, and just looking around the country to see what's there to possibly, not the whole piece, but what can we bring back to help Akron Public Schools strengthen itself, because we got a lot of good things going on here. And I'm glad that you said that we share with other people, because I know I have a lot of people around the country looking at us as what we were doing too. They can kind of implement. So I think this is good. It'll be another feather in our hat for Akron Public Schools. So thank you.
Yeah, there was definitely opportunities for us to see ourselves in the work, which is, it's positive when you can go places, see really high-performing practices, and teachers say, and principals say, wait a minute, I see that in my 2nd grade class. I see that in my 5th grade class. So thank you for this opportunity. Superintendent was there if you have any other questions. I'm sure she can answer all of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We appreciate that, and I appreciate the shout out for Akron in Action, November 12th through 14th. Make sure that's on your calendars. We're excited about that, and I just wanted to mention that Ms. Otley was also at the Anita Archer, spent some time down there with us as educators down at the Anita Archer event in Cincinnati, and we appreciate that presence. Everyone there. She got a standing ovation, I think, from the crowd of about 400 educators when they heard that there was a superintendent in the room. All the eyes went that way, so we're very excited about that. Thank you. And so our next presenter is Ms. Tiffany Lundy.
so I have a little blurb that they provided me, Ms. Lundy. So there have been some questions regarding summer programming. I know you're the CCAA coordinator for expanded learning. You're here to share an overview of the summer programming as they finish up this week and next. I know you're responsible for organizing summer funding as allocated from APS, community partners, in and out of school time, space, and grant dollars through the year as well. Ms. Lundy also ensures organizational systems across all departmental programs and departments, including grounds, transportation, nutrition services, special education supports, staffing, and technology. Thank you, Mrs. Lundy.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you for that. All righty. So I do have a small slideshow. I don't know if it's going to start. Oh, do I do it? Okay. No one told me. That one. Yes. Thank you. Oh, how lovely. Okay. All right, so this is going to be sort of a summary of what we did this particular summer with the dollars that we had available. I used this exact slide last year when I presented to instructional policy on why do we do summer programming. And some of the big ticket items here to build relationships, of course, with the adults, educators, and the students themselves. It connects our kids to their community, and it, of course, provides safe environments for our families. So while they're working, they have some place for their kids to go. We always want to engage and grow the interests of our scholars and support academic enrichment and growth. This year, we were down a little bit just with a lack of funding, but we did have 48 programs that were offered to our students this year between first grade all the way up to 12th grade. We ended up with 43. This is our seats available, and we had 1771 kids registered. Now, this was last week. We still have camps that are going on this week. Our Trailblazer camps are going on. We took kids for those camps all the way up until Friday. So this number is probably just a little bit higher today, but we ended up filling 3598. That just means that out of those 1,700 kids, they're just in multiple camps, right? So they're spread out across different timelines during the summer. So 75%, just like last year, available seats were filled this year. These are all 48 of the camps that we offered. The light blue, these are our elementary camps that we offered this year. Most of them were in June, but we did have a few that continued out through July. We had the same amount of camps exactly for middle school programming in yellow, and then our orange are our high school camps. There's a couple that I had to double up at the bottom just for balance on this table. But we did have our high school CTE or CTSO courses that we had. Driver's Ed was offered. Some of our highlights that we'll talk about on a couple of these slides. But this is all 48 of the unique programs that we offered this summer. For marketing this year, I have gotten a decent amount of questions about how did we market the summer programming to our parents. We started out with postcards that were sort of like a save the date. We have registration coming. It's going to open on April 1st. These postcards went out to families in March, but we also had building posters that were posted throughout the district. We had our district website, our APS Learns, our regular website with /summer on there. Social media carried our programs. We have principal invites for many of our programs, for the Trailblazers that's going on right now, for pre-fall that is also going on right now, 3GG, all kinds of things. And we had all-call reminders. Joe Tulak and I probably were sending something out almost every week this summer to let parents know that camps were going on. We still used our online registration software called SchoolJoy this year for our parents and families. And we also had a phone number direct to CCAA where we would help parents to register for different courses also if they just called in. We just needed the student ID number. Oh, and I wanted to talk about that for a second too. Also, we did have a few programs this year that we posted as a courtesy. We had the opportunity for people to become CCAA summer partners this year. They sort of went through the little contract, the MOU that we have for them. They were given a vendor email. It allowed them to access SchoolJoy, see the kids that are in there, get the parent information that comes with SchoolJoy. We posted for 4 different camps that weren't necessarily ours, but we kept track of those children. We did use their numbers. They did service our kids. So this would be Camp Invention. We did 4 different camps for Tom Todd. We had something for First Glance in Kenmore. And we had one other, it was like a social emotional group that was over at Helen Arnold. It's a Growing Hearts and Minds group that was there. So we did have 4 other partners that we did advertise for on our website. We tried to keep it really clear that they register through those particular companies when they were interested in those out of district things. But like I said, it still housed our kids. We still kept track of it. Okay. Registered demographics, I keep track of and give lists every single week regarding our kids who have IEPs or may need para support. If they are eligible for one-on-one support during the school year, they get that exact same support during summer programming. Any of our kids who have a refugee status or ESL status, if they need speech interpreters, that is applied in the summer also. And Project Rise, I keep track of that and send out weekly reports to the correct departments because they get transportation or special services that would allow all of these kids to still participate. The ethnic demographics for summer pretty much match our district enrollment. Couple of CCA highlights that we had this summer. We had 2 new things that we haven't had before in the summer. We had our SLAY program. It was called Summer Learn and Earn. And then I have Mary Tavardi with me today. She's going to talk to you about Summer Learn and Earn. And then we also did driver's ed this year in the summertime. This is the first time we've been able to offer a driver's ed during the summertime. We had 33 scholarships awarded out of the 131 kids who applied to win a scholarship. The last question on the scholarship application is like an essay of their statement of need. And I'm looking for key things with CCAA. I'm looking for a job. I'm looking for, different programs that they need to drive through, things like that. And for each school, we have 5 scholarships that are available. There were 30 seats. I ended up giving 33 scholarships because I just couldn't get rid of the other 3. They were really good. So we did do 33, and I try to keep it the top 5 for every building just to have equity across the district. Okay, they take that class over at Garfield High School, and it's going on right now. They only have 2 classes left. They have class tomorrow and on Thursday, and then they take their written test, and then they can get into the in-cars and hopefully get a license because this is a lifelong skill. Okay. Mary Tavardi is here to talk about the Summer Learn and Earn. Any little facts that you guys have there? This is a new one for us.
Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. We had an excellent opportunity for our seniors and our juniors and sophomores this year. We had what was called a Summer Learn and Earn program. It was a 3-week program where we utilized our summer funds through school improvement. It was called a SSI grant. It was supplemental school improvement grant. We brought in 42 students for 3 weeks. They had the opportunity to regain credits. They had the opportunity to earn the MOJ seal, and they had the opportunity to earn their 6-point credentials. During that time, we had 43 credits recovered, and that was within 3 weeks and 45-minute periods. That was excellent. In addition to that, we had 18 6-point credentials earned, again, in a 45-minute period in 3 weeks. That's unheard of. I am so proud of these students. They also had the opportunity to earn the MOJ seal, and we had 30 students. The students were paid $15 an hour to come and attend the program through the grant funds. They came 9 to 3 for 3 weeks, so that was a total of 15 days. They earned up to $1,350. Our students' attendance was excellent. For those 42 that came, we were averaging around 93%. Most of them missed just 1 day or less. Some of the criteria that was used for that funding was that each student had to have 2 or more credits that they needed to earn. Then in addition, they had to meet one of the following. They had to miss one or more weeks of school, or at least one behavior incident. They had to fall into that McKinney-Vento. They had also could have fallen into students with an IEP or EL proficiency. During that time, again, the students came, they worked on those credentials. We had an excellent team of teachers that worked with them. They built those relationships. They were excited. Every day they came in just ecstatic. They were so happy to be there. When you talk about student engagement and making relationships, that's what that program was all about. Even I was upbeat. I've been in this district. This is my 40th year of teaching for the district. It made a difference in my life this summer to see those students and have that relationship. It meant a lot. In addition, we have 10 students who are now in our buildings and helping our custodial staff clean the buildings and get them prepared for the beginning of the year. They will also be paid $15 an hour.
So Mary, can you speak a little bit? So just to be clear, the 10 kiddos that stayed on were SLAE students. And the last day, we said we have some money left over. How many kids want to work? And I pointed to Mary, and she got bombarded with students attacking her, signing up to want to come in. We said, you want to come help us open up schools? And kids wanted to keep working. And the last day, she couldn't get them to leave the high school. They didn't want to go. But can you talk a little bit about the public service project the students had to do while they were there?
Yes. The public service project, and was kind of the end project that we were going for. It was working with and going to visit the area behind Jennings that they are looking at and creating some type of a playground or a community area. Their project was to take that area and build some and give us some proposals. They went out to Jennings. They actually measured everything out. You see a picture right there of the students sitting there at Jennings. And they measured it. They put together presentations, and they presented them to the group. And we had 5 presentations and 5 groups. And the way we set this up was similar to, you just heard about Ron Clark. We put our students in 5 teams. They all got to choose their name of their teams. They built that relationship. We used some of those things that were discussed even at Ron Clark that I had heard about, because we had a teacher that went to the Ron Clark Academy, Mr. Smith, and we brought some of those things and we incorporated them. What questions do you have?
Yeah, we can turn it back over to Tiffany to finish her presentation.
Your question now?
I think she had a couple more.
All righty, let's see here. I think we went one too many. All right, summer showcase this year. Last year, you guys might remember that we did a pilot on something we called Adventurers Camp. It was a collaboration between APS and Youth Success Summit, where we were trying to put together a 3-week program with community-based organizations, but pairing them with an APS teacher so that we could get in like sneaky learning. Last year, we did that with 2 particular organizations. We did it with a sneaker academy, and we did it with the Vincent House. This year, we came in ready to at least double that partnership and run 4 middle school camps for Adventurers Camp, and we were going to add on what was essentially a basketball camp and a culinary camp, which are very popular with our children. But then we were approached by OSI. We had some grant dollars that were not used during the school year, and we were able to pull that in, and we made 4 additional Adventurers Camps. So we ended up going from 2 Adventurers Camps last year up to 8 this particular summer. And all of them had some sort of problem of practice that we wanted the students to investigate and present in a showcase of learning at the end of these 3-week camps. It was hugely successful. I have a page somewhere in here on city accolades, but if you even saw Saturday's paper, one of our culinary camps made the front page of the Beacon Journal this weekend. So that was one of ours. So at any rate, we were able to expand that with grant dollars. We used a decent amount of grant dollars this year, about $700,000 went to our programming. We had OSI for Expanded Opportunities Grant. The city of Akron gave money to us for some of our Akron After School grants programs that we had running this year. We use different dollars just to support different camps. Our elementary camps ended up being like a camp on airplanes, a camp on animals, a camp on soccer, and we had another one. It was just called Camp Move, and it was just, I went to that Showcase of Learning on Friday, just last week, and it was just all about how kids can become more active. And these were elementary children, and they put videos together on how they could go outside and play or make up games on their own, completely student-led. Like, they had middle schoolers as the camp counselors and high schoolers that were mentoring them. It was adorable. These are like our kids, so it was very successful. Let's see. City accolades were, I think, the next one. This one was on our SAW program. Superintendent Otley is really big with our safety around water. This is just something that every child needs to learn how to swim. So we ran 7 different safety around water programs in June, and then we ran 7 more. They're actually running right now. They'll also be finished on Friday. We served over 250 children total. Some of these kids did participate in more than one of the safety around water. It's 6 lessons for them in getting used to water basics on water safety. So we are running that right now. All 7 of our classes are at the University of Akron pool. So they go 3 days a week. Much like driver's ed. Okay, so now we are going to present all of this again like next week, but I'm going to bring in some of our community-based organizations. I'm going to bring Sneaker Academy back because they're just like, the bomb diggity. And then I'm going to bring in another group called Fallen Fathers. They work with a lot of our troubled youth. I did try to target some of our kids this year for the adventurers camps, looking at their low attendance or low academic scores, and most of those kids ended up in the basketball camp. And he had some huge successes with some of our kids who don't always attend camps. Once again, we're just trying to give our kids a different path, keep them safe in these programs. Okay? So if you have any questions today, though, I can try and answer anything. If not, I will come back on Monday with the other answers. Okay.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
You're very
I had a
welcome.
quick question. What is the MOJ credential? What does that stand for?
M.O.
I think she meant OMJ.
Oh, I'm like,
Ohio
wait.
means job seal. It's a graduation seal. She had her acronym backwards, but
Okay.
I was wondering what seal that was. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Alexander, I think you had a question.
Dr. I go last.
Okay, go ahead. Dr. Molnar.
Thank you. And thank you for this presentation. I always talk about the summer. I feel like every summer all I want to talk about is summer camps because I know that our summer camps are a significant investment. And it's something that our district does that not every district has the means to do, and whether or not even we really have the means to do it. I know we had to scale back a little bit this year, but it is a significant investment, and we do it for good reason. One of the things you mentioned was that sneaky learning, I think was your term. And we know that our students are learning through the summer. And I have to believe that if they're learning through the summer, then that learning is going to show somewhere in test results or fall or student growth, and especially, you talked about student mentors. You had middle school student mentors and that leadership opportunities
These are
that
lifelong
they're
skills.
having, and they're having over the summer. And so I put my kids in as many summer camps as I can over the summer because the learning that they have over the summer is different than the learning that they have in the classroom. But it is important and it's growth producing, and we are creating, well-rounded kiddos here in Akron. But my question is, while I believe all these things in my heart and in my soul and all of these reasons, I'm wondering, and maybe not today, but if you come back for another presentation, like what data points are we collecting and measuring to evaluate our reach, our impact, and And then improvement opportunities for our summer programs as we get ready for next year and the next year, and when we probably ask other people for more money, can we say, this is the difference, the quantifiable difference we are making here, instead of theory-based reasons. So, yeah.
Well, for last year, the data that I did track after summer programming was mostly on attendance, right, to see whether or not there was any correlation between kids who attended our summer programs and their attendance during the school year. So I did report out on that. This year, I wanted to add that extra piece of seeing whether or not there was going to be a difference of kids that are enrolled that were at risk, some of our targeted students, and then as the school year goes on, I would like to follow those kids. In a perfect world, what I would like to do is get some of these programs to continue into the fall, and I know that we do need funding for that, right? But I got this idea, okay, to kind of align some of our programs with maybe the pathways, like a culinary camp. You can see how that would align with culinary that's over at Garfield High School, right? Or if we were going to bring in one of our architecture groups, right, to match other, we could make some of our programs actually align with the high school pathways that they're going to take and see if that makes any difference on the selection that our kids are using. Any sort of exposure that our kids have, I think will either help them to make a decision that they want to go there or they don't, because both of those things are just as important, right? So we are tracking like information. So attendance right now, and then I want to focus on our at-risk students and see if we're getting them. I think that sometimes the data can be a little bit reversed. I want to believe that if they come during the summer, they're going to come during the fall. But I think that our kids that come during the fall are the ones who come during the summer. It's the kids who don't come during the fall that I want to track, which is why I'm trying to run the lower attendance kids and see what happens with them during next school year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Mr. Alexander?
Yeah, I do have two questions. I think I heard with the driver's ed program that they were doing classroom. Was it just classroom only, or will they do classroom and they got a chance to do in-car?
They do the whole program. So they do 24 hours of in-class instruction, and then it's 24 hours of driving instruction with their driver's ed instructor. They do need 50 additional hours, and that comes with their family and practice like that, but before they can actually take their actual driving test. But yep, and it's the whole program that we do.
Perfect.
And that's grant dollars also from our Drive to Succeed grant. So that goes all the way until June, so we'll be running that in the fall also.
Perfect. And the second question was, with the public service experience the kids had this summer, and you said they went to Jennings and they did a piece back there. There was a group that came to us to talk about the Public Land Trust, I believe it was.
That's them.
So they'll be part of that? Mm-hmm. All right.
Yep, that is that program. So they were measuring the land, seeing what we can do with that bowl that's sort of behind Jennings. Soccer is a big deal. Like, we know we want to have something sports oriented over there, especially for that community. I love, we want to do a survey with like the, what do you call it, community needs? Like, what would they like to see in that area? Because they're already using the land. It's just not officially like made for family spaces yet. We're working on it.
Thank you.
You're
Perfect.
welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much
All right,
for your
I'll see you in a week.
presentation.
Okay.
Looking forward to seeing more on Monday.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Well, I think you took it. All right. So I think the last agenda item is a review from your IP updates from a couple departments that you can see there. And I believe that's the conclusion for all of our instructional policy agenda items tonight.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, outgoing questions? None. I was trying to hurry up and look at when our next meeting is for next month. I know we allot an hour for our meetings, but it doesn't mean they have to be an hour. And so sometimes we go over, several times we've gone over. So today we will be going under. So thank you, everyone. If all minds are clear, I'm sorry. I just want to look up this meeting so that I can announce it, unless my counterparts know when the next meeting is. Just one moment. Our next instructional policy meeting will be September. It's not on the board. It's not on the calendar yet. it is not on the calendar yet, so hopefully we'll have that meeting date for Monday. I know we're going to have important report card information coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. But if all minds are clear, we will call this meeting to adjourn at this time. Thank you.